Should passive euthanasia be allowed? Should a patient have a right to die? Anand Grover, senior advocate, welcome. Sanjeev Bagai, vice chairman and director of the Dwarka Manipal Hospital, welcome. Dr. Abraham Mathai of the Indian Christian Voice, Sunil Bhattacharjee, secretary of the Society for the Right to Die with Dignity in India, welcome. My first question is to Harish Salve. Let's open the debate. Mr. Salve, if a patient has previously expressed a wish not to have life-sustaining treatments in case he or she is in a vegetative state or a state of suffering that will ultimately lead to the death of the patient, in your view, should his or her wishes be respected when the situation arises? Should people have that right?
Arnab, what you're asking is an extremely complex question. The one thing which we are clear is the religious overtones of this issue have to be taken out. So if people say God doesn't give you a right to end your life, that is an argument which has to be taken out in a constitutional society. If a patient has expressed a wish, do not resuscitate in certain events. I think there is a strong argument to say that the right to live with dignity by necessary implication means that if there is no dignity in what is going to continue, a vegetative existence is not a right to live with dignity. It is quite another matter as to what kind of machinery you need to put in place that this doesn't become an excuse for relatives to bump off inconvenient ill patients. So I think when we focus on this debate, you must focus on the core issue, assuming it is possible to isolate the machinery and the abuse problem. Let's talk of the use. And when you talk of the use, once our constitution recognizes that there is a right to live with dignity, I think we do raise the question that where no existence with human dignity is possible, does a person not have a right to say, if I do not have that basic dignity, please do not force me to live.
So two arguments.
That's one issue.
No, 2 points.
The second is assisted suicide.
No,
maybe I'm a liberal on this issue. I feel that if a person wills, when he's in a capacity to will,
right,
that I cannot take the pain anymore,
right,
I would like my pain to end, I think that right has to be given to an individual. How you will protect it from abuse should not be confused with a fundamental right to say or not to say so.
Okay.
So I think what you would be doing an enormous job is in focusing is on the right of the individual. Unfortunately, what happens is two overlays come. Oh, but this will be abused. People will kill people. We'll deal with that separately. How do you isolate? How do you create a machinery with checks and safeguards?
Okay.
The second overlay, the silent overlay, is the religious overlay. That God does not permit you to do this. Well, leave that to the individual. If I'm a Christian, and if I'm a Hindu, or if I belong to a faith where I believe God doesn't permit me to end my life, I will not will it. But if I do not follow my own religious tenet, I don't think anybody else has the right
Harish
to
Salve,
overlay it on me.
I'm not arguing on either side, don't get me wrong. But I want to get Dr. Abraham Mathai of the Indian Christian Voice, because you're raising that religious point out there. You know, the argument is that it is God's will to give life, it is God's will to take life. And there are miracles, they say. You know, they give you an example, for example, of a person who went into a crash in 1984. After 24 years, he regained consciousness. So this is a miracle of God. Someone like Abraham Mathai will say, and there is a moral distinction between the moral equivalence of killing and letting someone die. Abraham Mathai, Harish Salve says, don't bring your religion into it. Your response. And by the way, it's an open debate. We can come into the debate as we wish. Abraham Mathai.
Yes, Arnab, I believe that God has created man, and only God who created man has a right to take away life. So circumstances and difficult circumstances of an individual does not give him the right to take away his life. And I'll tell you, assuming that this legislation comes, we are actually opening a Pandora's box.
Why?
Because you'll find so many you'll have so many kind of advocacy groups, like people who are lame, people who are physically challenged, mentally challenged, and they will approach, say that we don't want to live like this, so we should be allowed to die. So there's no end to it. Therefore, this has to be challenged and this should not be legalized.
No, what if the person is lying in a vegetative state for a long
Arunabh,
duration
Arunabh,
with
one
no
second.
chance of recovery?
Arunabh,
Okay,
one
Harish
second.
Salve is coming in. Yes, go ahead. It's an
one
open
second.
debate. Anyone can
As
come in
again I
at any
said,
point. Harish Salve.
let's not
Harish Salve.
let's not confuse the abuse with the use. The fundamental issue is God commands me not to steal, I steal.
Arna, what I'm saying,
God commands me not to.
State, he or she is not in a position to speak. So how are we to take a decision on that person's behalf?
No, if that person is not on what?
No.
One second. The question is of suffering. The question is of suffering. So I can also turn that back,
question
Dr.
is who
Mathai, and
decides?
ask you, on what grounds is anyone justified to forcibly keep the patient alive when he or she has been suffering? The fact of the matter is that it has more to do with the individual's pain and suffering. I can say it's not morally right to see anyone suffer. I don't think God would want to see anyone suffer. You force the person to live despite the pain. That's not ethically right either. Sunil Bhattacharjee, I want Sunil Bhattacharjee, Harish Salve, 1 minute. I want everyone into the debate and then we'll open it up. Sunil Bhattacharjee.
Can I come in?
Sure, you can come in, Anand Grover, but just let Sunil Bhattacharjee make his point.
In fact, I'm just, I have heard so long. I can tell you simply one thing, that the beautiful word was dignity. Dignity is the one thing which is counted for any person, especially elderly person. I can give you 2 instances of my own life which I have experienced. Number one is when this movement came in Calcutta, why I joined. I have seen my father suffering from 13 years in dementia, and these 13 years practically whatever the respect he earned and all these things, all he practically lost. So this is one thing which definitely attracted me, and at the same time we are propagating for it. But after some time I have experienced another thing in my family. My daughter-in-law was in coma for 16 days. And in fact, the doctors are about to take out all the life support. Only looking at me and my son, they kept it for 1 day. And my daughter-in-law is fine now, today. But even then, if I am asked that with these 2 experiences, whether I support the law or not, I will say I support the law. Because as you have said, in vegetative state, the position or the people or the suffering, all these things, that should be definitely helped. Only thing is the precaution has to be taken so that it's not misused.
The question
Another one point I will definitely tell you, the question, when the question of misuse of law comes. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Hello? When the question of misuse comes, there's the question of in which law it has not been misused. There is another part of it. So by having the law for this, the apprehension of misuse should not come in the way.
No. The misuse argument will very strongly come. Anand Grover, let me come to you just for presenting a contrary view, and Sanjeev Bagai, I'm coming to you after that. You see, India is a poor country. There are a lot of people who cannot afford treatment. They will look to exploit the law. When you permit passive euthanasia, it leaves the room for gross abuse, where people who cannot afford the treatment will say, let the person die. They will make this an excuse. Anand Grover, that's a very real possibility in India, isn't it?
It is indeed. But let me answer the points in the manner I want. I think first of all, religion cannot play a very important role in our decision making, because different religions in our country have different points of view. There are religions who actually agree with actually taking life. So which religion do you actually go to? So I don't think that can play a part. Constitutionally, as Harish has said, that actually our Supreme Court has said in the judgment of Gyan Kaur that the right to live with dignity carries with it the right to die with dignity. The third thing that you address is about misuse. I think that's a real problem. So you have to have certain very strong safeguards, and that's why the Supreme Court judgment in Gyankor, which is then, in my opinion, detailed out in Aruna Shanbag, is now come up for reconsideration. There they have detailed procedures. So if there is no problem, in my opinion, if the person who is actually in a vegetative state has given advance instructions. Take an example, if I say by a statement, declaration or a will that if I'm in a vegetative state for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, I don't want any life support systems, there's no problem with that. But the problem comes when I'm not given an advance instructions, then other people have to decide. So you have to have procedures.
How can they decide? No. How can they decide? And
yes,
to that, the humanity. To that, Anand Grover, the humanity argument will be put up by people like Sanjeev Bagai. He wants to come in.
Absolutely.
And my question will be,
let me answer that quickly. Absolutely. Let me answer that before he comes in, because I think it's very important that we have safeguards, because misuse is very
safeguards don't happen on the ground. Do you see how humane is it?
No, I agree.
No, how humane is it tomorrow? Tomorrow, suppose selfish relatives decide that we will not give food, we will not give water.
Not the relatives. Let me answer that.
No, one second.
So the Supreme Court did lay down certain guidelines, which is first the thing has to come from a particular set of people.
So what if that particular set of people?
But it has also to involve doctors, and it has to go to the High Court. So there are 3 layers. It can't be only one person who can decide. And that goes through a procedure.
I'm only arguing from the other side that how is it humane to deny someone food, water and medicine that will eventually lead to their death?
I agree.
And what happens? What happens also? Sanjeev Bagai is coming into the debate.
Put a process in
one second, Anand Grover. What happens in a case where a person is in excruciating pain with multiple ailments but is not terminally ill? Then do the arguments of compassion and reducing agony face a severe test? Sanjeev Bagai.
No.
Sanjeev Bagai is coming in.
Here the process
let Dr. Bagai come in.
All these elements in the procedure.
Dr. Bagai.